Jordan Love looked pretty good yesterday. As a matter of fact, Jordan Love thus far has the highest passer rating in all of Week 1 as the Packers went to Chicago and did what they tend to do, the Chicago Bears, and absolutely waxed them. 38-14 being the final score. Jordan Love vastly outplayed Justin Fields. If you look at the number, I apologize, 38-20 was the final score. Bears, got that touchdown, and at the end that meant absolutely nothing. Jordan Love on the day, 15 for 27, 245, 3 touchdowns, no picks, QBR of 73, pretty good, passer rating of 123, very good, actually best of the weekend. Fields, on the other hand, 24 for 37, 216, a touchdown, a pick, QBR of 21, and a passer rating of 78. So he had a rough afternoon. Fields also had 59 yards rushing. Love had 12. So I have been, and Packers fans have really been getting on me over the last couple of weeks to a month about my skepticism of Jordan Love. Basically, my take was, okay, if he was so good, then why with an old Aaron Rodgers who became a headache for the Packers, why is he still backing up Aaron Rodgers? Why are we barely getting to see any glimpses of him whatsoever at practice and games, whatever the case may be? Maybe they just want to hide him to surprise the league. I don't know. The Falcons did the same thing with Desmond Ridder, and Desmond Ridder looked at best yesterday against Carolina. But be that as it may, Jordan Love played very well. Here's why I think we're overreacting a little bit today, because again, he did have the best passer rating. He made some key throws on big third down, fourth down situations. The throw to the tight end, I'm forgetting the tight end's name. They drafted number 88, was really played well. Could be a real weapon for Mr. Love. Luke Musgrave, who had that big catch, was. I don't think any receiver in football is more open than he was in that one play in the fourth quarter when Love dropped the snap and then off his back foot just flung it up in the air, and Luke Musgrave essentially fair caught it, so to speak, and the Packers ended up scoring on that drive. Third down situations, he was great. Fourth down situations, he was great. But what I loved what Jordan Love did was not just the fact that he didn't turn the football over, it's the fact that he played within the offense. Again, but we go to a larger point that, I'm not willing to buy in him quite yet as a true franchise quarterback, as the Packers' future, the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers, who is the heir apparent to Brett Favre, and continuing this great lineage of great Packers quarterback play. Chicago's defense is awful. And if you remember, over the last month when I was doing this sort of series on each division, every team's biggest strength and biggest weakness for Chicago, I'm like, man, their defense is in a complete rebuild. And when we think about Chicago Bears, we think great defense, obviously think 1985, tough, Mike Ditka, 2006, I think it was, the defense led him to the Super Bowl, Brian Urlacher. Folks, this Bears defense is not your parents' Bears defense. It's terrible. If you look at their numbers from last year, and they didn't really improve this offseason whatsoever. Last season, the Bears, 4th worst in yards given up per game, worst in points given up per game, 6th worst in red zone defense, and worst in yards given up per play. So this is a bad Bears defense, is going to struggle throughout the season, and I worry that Justin Fields would have to win shootouts, and not to defend Fields because he didn't play well. But listen, the Packers gave Love a clean pocket. They gave him a solid running game. Aaron Jones, obviously that was a running play, but Aaron Jones had the breakaway touchdown in the third quarter that really kind of started to blow it open for Green Bay. The thing I worry about, though, with Jordan Love is if you look at the Packers, their schedule moving forward. So they got Atlanta next week. They're actually a 1-point road favorite, which I think is interesting. Atlanta's offense looked certainly the pass game looked The defense played well, albeit against Bryce Young. Then they got New Orleans. We saw what New Orleans did to Tennessee yesterday with DeAndre Hopkins. Then they got Detroit, and look what Detroit did to Kansas City. The Raiders, I'm not going to overreact to the Raiders holding Russell Wilson to 16. That's to be expected. Then they got the Broncos. Broncos got a good defense. The Vikings. Vikings have an improved defense. The Rams. Look what the Rams did to Geno Smith yesterday. Then they got my Steelers. Then they got the Chargers. That may not be as tough a defense as I thought. Detroit again. Kansas City has a better defense than people give them credit for. So there's some tough defenses for Green Bay down the road here that I worry about if once teams and once defensive coordinators start to get film on Jordan Love, if they can adjust to. His arm doesn't blow me away. He's accuracy was a little bit of a concern at times early in his development. Didn't seem to be a problem yesterday. Again, Chicago's defense, I'm not quite sure what their game plan was, given the fact that Christian Watts was out, Romeo Doubs went off. So listen, for Green Bay, this was a situation where Jordan Love wasn't uncomfortable. He wasn't a situation where he had to single-handedly win the game for Green Bay. And look, for quarterbacks, that's the best case scenario. Getting to sit back there with time, deliver the ball on time and on target to his wide receiver, to guys' wide receivers. But that's not always real life in the NFL. That's something that, as time progresses, is not going to always be the case for Jordan Love. But give him credit. He did his job. He did what was asked of him. And he certainly outplayed Justin Fields. There's no question about that. And I will have to say, I do owe the Packers an apology in this regard. Or Packers fans. I don't owe the Packers fans an apology about Jordan Love. We've only seen one game of him as the true franchise quarterback. Got to see a long list of games from here on out. And I still owe the Packers will be 6. I still think they're going to be 6-11. That's not here to there. For Packers fans, I do want to apologize to you in this regard for picking the Chicago Bears. And obviously yesterday I think showed that it is not just Aaron Rodgers who owns the Bears and is part owner, but it is the Green Bay Packers and the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin as a whole who owns the Chicago Bears. That was bad. Chicago hasn't won a game in 11 months. Probably should have taken that more into consideration when I had them going 8-9. It wasn't good. Patrick Brown in the comments. It's going to be a long year for Chicago. They got to patch up that offensive line, which they've tried to, and they drafted Darnell Wright to their credit last year or this past draft, so they're trying to address it. But I didn't think Chase Claypool. You watch tape on Claypool, he was it wasn't just the fact that he was awful. It was the fact that his effort on some of these plays. We'll get to an effort play, by the way, in Foxborough later in the show. But it was the fact that his effort plays were, what is he doing? I mean, it's like he wasn't even committed to the game at all. It's like he was just going in slow motion. It was rough. So, again, props to Jordan Love. I don't think we need to overreact to one game against probably the worst defense in the National Football League. I got to see more, moving forward. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.